two questions you can always expect in the interview and how to answer them smartly. This is what I'm going to cover in this video. Hi, this is Atul from team K21 Academy. So in order to tell you these questions and a bonus question, let's first look at what you should be knowing or you should already have done or you should already have access to. So I've already done a video in past where I said how to prepare for these job interviews where I created a Loom video. The link should be on the page or on this page, or you should already have that. I'll link it in the video as well, just below this video. You should be able to find out this video, which I've already done in past. It's around 43-minute video. Make sure you were watching that. And with that, I also have a supporting guide. Now, since I initially probably covered this guide in the video, I've added some index, so you might see some additional things. At the bottom, I'm adding more and more things like interview tips to stand out, and then related documentation links you might be finding on this document as well. So it's quite handy document that you'll be able to see or find. Yeah, so with that, let's first look at in terms of what are the two questions you can always expect. The first question you will always get is, hey, tell us about yourself. Now, this question is pretty common, but what you want to do is you need to be prepared in order to differentiate yourself from others. You don't want to, first and most important problem I see after interviewing thousands of guys, and I've interviewed myself, I've given interviews myself, and have interviewed others as well. Then most people start like talking about their experiences which are irrelevant to the job, or they took go back very long week and they keep go on and on and on. And this doesn't help the interviewer, this doesn't help company. They lose the attention, they lose if you tell too much or too little or not relevant to the job, they will lose interest on that. And actually, whatever you tell, as long as relevant to for the job, they you need to talk about that. So when they're hiring to solve a problem. They're hiring to find out someone who can help them. So when before you go to the interview, make sure that you go thoroughly look at the job description. And some of the tips I've given is how to prepare for the job description in the previous video which I've mentioned. So then you talk a little bit about the relevant to the job description. So when you're talking the context of what's being asked in the job description. So for example, I'll take an example here. This was a job I was searching for AWS. They were looking for CI/CD. They were looking for technical design documents, business design documents, Terraform, EC2s. I see here identity access management, Route 53. So make sure that when you talk about your experience, you involve all those things, especially Route 53, S3, etc. as well. This is I'm talking in the context of AWS, but you might have something relevant. So you can talk a little bit, like maybe a couple of points, maybe 1 or 2 minutes, and say I've done this, I've done that as well, and maybe if you've done some certifications or how you helped the previous project or related to the job offering you're going to talk about as well. Once you talk about that, and then you say that, hey, I noticed that this role requires expertise in so and so. So experience, I've done this in last couple of years. This is a project I have done, and so on. Um, then you can also flip that question on something like that. Say once you've done, say that, hey, I know a lot about, I have a lot of experience. Anything apart from that that you want to hear, let me know. I don't want to go on and on, but any specific thing that you want me to cover with respect to what you're looking for. And that way it will address, they will be focusing on what they're looking for. They will also understand, a good interviewer will understand that you don't want to waste their time, you want to be on spot on as well. So make sure that you prepare well with respect to what they're asking the job description, and prepare a answer with respect to this particular question. Now, I've given some hints in how to use ChatGPT in previous, so you can also ask in ChatGPT and say, hey, put a question here in ChatGPT and say, look, this is a job description, and what do you think I should answer if an interviewer asks, tell me about more about yourself, based on, and answer me based on this job description they're asking, which looks relevant, and will give you a good idea about. So that's a good tip that you should be following. Point number one. Now, once apart from that, then there are technical questions which will be covering in each job oriented. There'll be a respective session which will be covering and talking about maybe for AWS, for Azure, Google, and so on, or maybe DevOps. So there'll be technical questions which I'll create a separate video for you that should be on the portal for you. But then Once you wrap it up, or final question will be, hey, do you have any question for me? Like, let's suppose I'm an interviewer, I would definitely ask. A good interviewer will always ask you, hey, do you have any questions? Anything that you want to ask about? Now, different people ask different. Tell me more about company. I'm assuming if if I'm an interviewer and if you're coming for an interview, I would expect you to at least have an idea about this. So, and this is where the question I would suggest you to ask is and say, hey, based on everything we've discussed about my background, my experience, is there any reason why you wouldn't hire me for this role? Now, this question, like if you have this question, it looks a little bit uncomfortable. It looks a little bit intimidating. It looks a little bit direct. And it's okay. I want you to be direct. I want you to maybe look this question and see how would you answer that. The reason why I want you to ask this question is because sometime interviewer will always have some doubts whether they're not sure, and they sometimes find a little bit difficult in directly asking you that particular things which they might have doubtful about. Again, as a good a salesperson or as a good person, one thing you should always handle, or any relationship, any communication, is always try to handle the objection. And they might be nervous, doubtful, but if you ask them directly question, you will hear some objections from them. They might be a little bit and say, um, hey, you know what, we're not sure if you have the right experience that we're looking for right now. Then you can ask and say, okay, fine, in what context? You can look at a little bit more context in that, okay, I have this, anything specific you're looking with respect to experience. And what you can then do is you can say, for example, they say, hey, we don't know whether you have enough experience on, for example, deploying Kubernetes on AWS cloud. Then you can say, no, look, I've done, and maybe there is a high probability you might have forgot that and say, sorry, I forgot to mention that, but I've done this bit there. Maybe we deployed Kubernetes on a proof of concept. Or if you have not done it, you can always say, hey, sorry, I've not done it, but I can guarantee I can make quick learner. I can pick up these things. If you give an opportunity, I can pick up those things. So that will basically try to clear some of the doubts or objections an employer have. This will also give you a chance to basically clear up any misconceptions you might have not come across in a rightly manner in the interview, that will give you about as well. So it's an uncomfortable question, but it will save. It can bring you back in the interview if it's not going in a right direction as well. Now, that will also, if for some reason they don't hire you, at least you will know that why they're not hiring, rather than because after interview, getting and feedback is very, very difficult or challenging. So the gaps that you have, they mention that to you, that gaps. What you can do is you can use that gap for the next interview. You can fill that and say, this is how you should be interviewing or preparing for that interview. So I hope that makes sense. Two questions. Now, a bonus follow-up question I always say is that always send an email or maybe a text message thanking this person, an interviewer. Now, typically when as someone interview you, you get an interview invite through an email calendar invite. So you should always have their numbers. So maybe thank them for the time, for the asking interesting questions, and give me a feedback again. Maybe put one or two liner why you think you'll be able to do good in the job you're excited about as well. That will give an opportunity to an employer to bring you again in their list of like basically if they have two or three guys, that will definitely put if I'm an interviewer and if I get an email like that, I will know that okay, the guy really cares about this role. He's serious about this role. He'll do good. He's proactive in as well. So do those things. I think that's always beneficial. So with that, let me know, give it a thumbs up and feedback onto the interview, or say this feedback. What do you think about it? Do you like it? Do you enjoy it? Any feedback for me? Anything like that you want to see more of those? Yeah, let me know, and I'll see you in another video. This is Atul from Team K21 Academy. Definitely give me a feedback, leave a comment, and let me know what other things that you want to see, or if you like this tip or not. Take care and bye for now.